G'day guys, how you going? Today we're going to look at the idea of how large a sample needs to be. Now, if you look on the formula sheet you get from the SABSA who set your exam, this is taken straight off your formula sheet. So the sample size n required to obtain a 95% confidence interval with a width of W for the mean of a normal population with a standard deviation of sigma. Okay, so this is the formula you need to do. So 2 times by what that value is. Now remember that changes, this value changes here depending on how confident you want to be with your sample. Alright, so we change that value depending on how confident you want to be. And then obviously this width value, that width there is the width of that particular thing. So it's going to be a certain size either side of the mean value. Alright, so when we look at a question like question 3 in your textbook, I think it's worthwhile going through this, and obviously you can practice some of these out of your revision guide and so on. So we've got 48 patients, okay, from an alcohol rehabilitation program showed a participation time of the program with a standard deviation of 4.7 days. Right, the standard deviation used for the population, how many patients should have to be sampled at a 99% confidence interval? So you can be confident the sample mean of the days of the program differs by the population no more than 1.8 days. Right, so that's differing from the mean by that. Now all that information you can see there. Probably the one bit of information I don't really need if I go back and delete that is that. Okay, I've got my standard deviation, I've got my width, and I've got my confidence interval stuff. Alright, so now just remember I did show you how to do your confidence interval. If it's 99%, now if you haven't got this written on your sheet, just go to your calculator, you go back to your distribution stuff, number 3, norm. So remember 99%, that means it's 0.005, so it's 0.005. Right, that's at a mean of 0 and standard deviation 1, and that will tell you what your value is. So it's 2.576. Okay, that we need to put into our formula. So our formula for this one now becomes equal to n is equal to 2 times 2. I can't remember. Is it 576? 576 times by our standard deviation. Now our standard deviation is in fact 4.7 in this case, and our width, right, is in fact going to be equal to, well, our width is equal to 2 times by 1.8, right, because it's 1.8 either side of the mean, so it's going to be 3.6 over 3.6. And then what we have to do is we have to square that as well. Alright, so if I go to my calculator, I should be able to do that as a calculation. It will tell me how big my sample needs to be. So it's going to be 2 times by 2.576 times by 4.7, which is my standard deviation, divide that by 3.6, enter, and then I've got to square that value. Alright, so that's 45.24, so that's equal to 45.24 patients. Now if I want to be 99%, if I did 45 I couldn't quite be there, so therefore what I really need to do is I need to survey 46. So you're going to need to round that value up each time. Alright, so that's pretty well, those type of questions are pretty easy. That would be probably a very small part of a bigger question when we're looking at an exam. Now you don't need to remember this formula because that formula is on your formula sheet. Alright, so as long as you know how to find this W and find this value here, then it should be pretty easy. Alright, so good luck with those questions and I'll talk to you later.